lot of facts have to be taken into consideration when choosing a career path. For Nigerian teenagers and young adults, these facts may be new, and this is due to the absence of career mentors and guides who will lead them in the right path. Catch Them Young is a platform where teenagers and young adults are exposed to practicing professionals who will guide them in the choice of a career. My name is Shogbade, your host on Catch Them Young, and this is Divine TV, where we enrich souls through the gospel of Christ. Here with me in the studio today, I have a unique journalist who chose to follow after his passion in journalism despite studying an entirely different course in the higher institution. He is Michael Adeshino. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you, Shogbade. I'm so happy to be here this morning.
We're delighted to have you too.
Yeah.
So I would like to start by asking you to describe journalism to teenagers and young adults who are currently watching this show right now. They want to be journalists because a lot of people just say, what do you want to be? Oh, I want to be a journalist. I see journalists on TV, but they do not know what journalism is all about. Would you like to just give them a background information on what journalism is?
Well, in simple terms, journalism is all about collection, preparation, and distribution of news.
All right.
So those are the three stages in journalism. Some are in the collection part, preparation part, and in the distribution part. So
for those teenagers and young adults who only want to appear on TV or only want to have their names written in the newspaper for writing a news story, does it mean that there are other things that they can do in journalism aside being at the forefront? Because I've come to realize that presenters are at the forefront, writers are at the forefront, but there are people in the background who do certain things, fact-checking, data collection and all that. So would you like to tell us the various career paths in journalism?
Journalism is wide and it has a lot of opportunities for teenagers. But I think before we go into talking about the different paths that every teenager could choose, I think we should first talk about why you want to be a journalist.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of things that are involved. While we were growing up, and I love the fact that this show is all about, mentoring the teenagers.
Yeah.
While we were growing up, it was all about, okay, you have to do this so you can make money. You have to do that. Like you said, I was not even an art student.
Yeah.
I was a science student. So a lot of people do not know why they want to, be this or be that. But I want to assure everyone that every teenager who wants to be a journalist that, it is a good profession because it gives you a lot of opportunities. For someone like me who came from a very humble background, I had the I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of persons on this job, a lot of top people in government, and then not just to meet them for the purpose of meeting them or to greet, to have to, check the activities in the society.
Yeah.
So it gives you the opportunity to know what is going on around you and also to tell people what is going on in the society. So you get to meet people, you get to talk to people, and you get to express yourself. For while I decided to be a journalist was the fact that while I was coming up, I didn't have, I didn't have the confidence to talk to people.
Okay.
So I started writing. So when there's a meeting and people are talking, and I find it difficult to raise up my hands to say, okay, I have this to say. But I put them in writing and I'm like, wow, so I'm this intelligent, you understand? So I started expressing myself through writing. So when I'm in a gathering, I could not say this is what I feel, you understand? I put it in writing. While I was in university, I'll paste it on the board. Then I'll see the lecturers come into the classroom to say, oh, we read something in the notice board, about this. Oh,
wow.
Then let's make a change. Let's do this, let's do that. This is now it is. Or give an explanation. So I felt like, so I could actually create change just by writing. I don't have to talk.
And you found out all these while studying engineering?
While studying engineering.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I studied engineering because, where we were growing up, everyone was like, oh, if you are brilliant, you have to go to the science class. If you are good or not too good commercial, and if you are a bad student, you go to art. I'm telling you, that was
Yes,
how it was
yes,
classified
yes.
during my time, you know. So it was not that I loved to be a science student, but it was based on my, you know, abilities. You understand? Then, so when I got into, you know, science classes, I was reading, I was passing, but I was not enjoying the subject. You understand? I don't know why you have to mix this and that together to get that, but journalism gave me, you know, the opportunity to express myself, to, you know, to get to disseminate information, enrich people, come out, you know, and do a lot of things. So it's a really good career path for every teenager out there who believe they have something to give to their society. They want to enlighten the society. They want to tell people who they are. And aside from them, because it's beyond you, you know, you can also create light for brands, for people around you, for a lot of people in the entertainment sector, like you said, different departments, in the entertainment sector, in the, you know, business sector, sports, politics. Journalism is needed everywhere because you are creating news and you are creating something new.
And there's news everywhere.
And there is news every day, everywhere, at every point.
Thank you so much. So you have to know what you want to study. You have to know why you want to study journalism. If you want to study journalism, it is very important to know the reasons why you are going for a course, if you will be going for a course. So we have learned from our great journalists here that you do not just choose a career path because others are choosing it. You do not just choose it because you know you want to make money. Is there money in journalism? Because this is also very important. No parents wants to hear that their children just want to follow. And don't forget that we're talking to teenagers here, people who are still being supervised by their parents. So no parents wants to hear right now that, mommy, I just want to follow my passion, whether there's money in it or there's no money in it. So would you try to calm the parents down right now and reassure them that there is something in journalism? If there is, please tell us.
I love that question because I could remember that there was a day I was at an event and someone, I just spoke to a young lady about journalism. I said, what are you doing? I said, I'm a journalist. And she looked to her mom and said, Mommy, I want to become a journalist. And the mom was like, keep quiet, you know. So I knew where that was coming from. She felt probably, you know, she might have met a lot of journalists and like, no. But I think there's money everywhere. That's why I talked about passion in the first place. But you have to be good at what you do. You understand? We have a lot of people that have made it well in journalism. We have a lot of leaders. Someone like Babajide Otitoju is my boss. Someone like Mr. Bayo Noluga. You know, these are persons that, you know, their job has placed them before great men. So if you are good at what you do, you know, you are a journalist, you know how to get your facts and figures right, you know how to create something that that will make someone somewhere, you know, ask questions like, who is the person behind this article, you know. You want to, as a journalist, you know, or as a young person, you have to keep pushing yourself. Like, okay, I want to write something that President Muhammadu Buhari will see and say, you know, for a young person to go deep and get this kind of information, I want to meet you, you know. That's what should be the drive. The money will definitely come, you know. It's not lucrative for everybody. For persons that are good, there's money. That's just the truth.
So for parents who are watching this show right now, or who are seriously supervising their children, there is money everywhere. There's money in journalism, there is money in any course that you would love your children to study. So please be calm and allow them study whatever they want to study. So we're still going to come back to the career parts in journalism because we really haven't talked about that in depth. We'll go on a short break, and when we're back, we'll continue. Enjoy inspirational, informative, and soul-lifting Christian programs such as Christian Parenting and Homefront, Light After Darkness, Fulfilling the Mandate, Kids and Bible, Movies Review, Shepherd's Spouse, Kingdom Stars, Teens Perspectives, My Next Gospel Event, and lots more on Divine Television. Download Divine TV mobile app on Google Play Store or watch on our YouTube channel. You can also visit www.tvdivine.net. Divine TV, enriching souls through the gospel of Christ. Welcome back. This is still Catch Them Young, live on Divine TV, where we enrich souls through the gospel of Christ. I still have here in the studio Mr. Michael Adeshino speaking to us on what it takes to study journalism, what it means to be a journalist, and the different career paths in journalism. So before we went on the break, we were talking about, you told us that there is money in journalism and there is money everywhere, and you just have to be good, exceptionally good at what you do. So I would love to ask you this question. You said you had the passion for writing because of your kind of introverted nature.
Yeah.
You didn't like to speak and you just wanted to write. So what would you like to say to teenagers out there who feel that journalism is strictly about presenting, strictly about TV, radio? What are the prospects in, you know, writing for journalists? What are the prospects in online journalism? Because I know that online journalism is quite new. Right now, when we talk about journalism, it's only the new generation that would talk about online journalism. People don't really see online journalism as a part of journalism, and you practice online journalism. So tell us about online journalism and how you can make it in online journalism, even as a journalist.
Well, I think while asking that question, you've actually, give answers to some of the questions. And then I think I've moved across all, both print, online, broadcasting. So like you said, for someone like me, to be in journalism, it means there is a space for everyone, irrespective of your nature.
Yes.
If you are the introverted kind of person, you can decide to be writing. If you want to be in front of the TV, your part might be presenting. If you just want to sit back and say, okay, mine is to protect the image of organizations, you can as well, be into PR. If you want to, if you're interested in entertainment and what you want to do is write entertainment news, you can decide to be in the entertainment sector. That's why when you go to places like Maven, a lot of big record labels now coming up, most of them, they cannot do without a journalist or someone who will be writing, for the organization. Name it, the biggest companies in the world, even in Nigeria, some of them are now improving on their PR aspect, or, in the media aspect of their organizations. So there's a lot of space for everyone, irrespective of, your temperament, who you are as a person. Like I said, all you need to do is have the passion and decide what actually did I want to do. Some persons decide to be investigative journalists. That's the risky aspect of the job, but yet, it is lucrative, and they have passion for it. They just want to dig, things that are being buried, and that's one of the beauty. In fact, that's the beauty of journalism.
That's great, but for online journalism, people hearing online journalism is quite a new term. It's not as old as traditional journalism. It's not as old. When you talk about being a journalist, if you had mentioned journalism about 20 years ago, people would talk about newspaper, radio, and TV. But now, talking about journalism, you now have to include online journalism. So tell us more about online journalism and how it is different from traditional journalism.
Online journalism is the best. And then I'm so happy because this program is purposefully for teenagers. And then, and I will say it again, that online journalism is the best. And the reason being that everybody has a mobile phone today. So you don't have to go to, the newspaper joints every morning before you can get information. You don't have to, some of us have to leave home very early, and you cannot take your radio along to say, okay, I want to listen to news in the office. So all you need to do is to sit back, pick up your phone, and you get whatever you want to get, whatever information you want to get about whatever is going on anywhere in the world. Right here, as we are seated here, we can decide to say, okay, I want to find out what is going on in Ukraine, or what is going on in this place or that place. Do I have to run to, maybe a joint in somewhere before I can get that information? No. That's why online is the best. And I tell people, there's nothing, like online is the new face of journalism. In fact, you see that the print, and some of them are still doing well, but most are not as relevant as it used to be, because most persons are even just interested in reading about President Buhari and all of that. So once they reach the first page, they've thrown the rest, they've been the rest, you understand. But online gives you access to a lot of information. Even there are a lot of information you don't know you need, but it can just pop up on your phone and you feel like, oh, let me find out something about this. Yesterday I was, writing about lupus. an incurable disease that is common in women, you know. And I finished that story around 9:30, you know, in the morning. And before 10 a.m., in fact, over 100,000 people have read the story, because a lot of persons, they must have heard about lupus, but you know, they just felt like, you know, it's just one of those things. But when they saw the information, they felt like, oh, let's see what's going on. Let's read about it. You understand? So there are a lot of information you might not even think you need, but because you are online and you can just get the alerts and you're reading. So online gives access to a lot of information. You just have to choose which part you want to access.
All right. Thank you very much. So to reiterate what you've just said, if I'm right, online journalism, the difference between online journalism and traditional journalism is the medium.
Yeah.
So traditional journalism and online journalism are the same, but they don't go through the same medium.
Yeah.
While you have radio and you have TV, online journalism just means that you give out data, you give out information, or you give out news online. All right. So for teenagers and young adults watching this right now, you can be a journalist and still practice online. You can be a journalist and practice traditionally. It doesn't make you any less of a journalist. So I would love us to go a bit personal. Let's talk about how far, you know, journalism has been for you as an individual. But before then, I want you to talk to the teenagers and young adults watching this right now and tell them, you know, the subjects that they have to study while in secondary school, because some of them are still in secondary school and they still have the opportunity to choose. Of course, you have to be an art student, but what are those core subjects that you must pass well to, you know, to really study journalism? You know, some people say that it has to be English first. Some people say that you need economics. Some people say you don't need economics. Mass comm doesn't need economics and all that. So tell us the core subjects that you need as a journalist.
I like that. That's a very good question. I like that question. But my advice to every teenager watching out there is to focus on anything that comes their way.
Okay.
Whether mathematics, whether literature. In fact, it is wrong to pick a subject in particular, because whether you're a journalist, you will still be a doctor. Like I told you,
will need them.
I'm now practicing journalism and I wrote about lupus. Am I a medical doctor? No. I just have to make my research. But if I sit down and say, okay, I really love literature, how do I educate people about the health aspect, the entertainment aspect? In fact, you need, for instance, maybe you walk into the office of Accountant General, then you are asking questions like, okay, how did you spend this money? You said you allocated this amount for budget. So how did you spend this money? I want to see the record. I have been given the record, but because you're an art student and you don't care about accounting, and you're looking at the record and they are telling you this is A, meanwhile it is B. So as a journalist, you have to be vast. You have to be smart. So you have to focus on everything that comes your way, be it newspaper, be it an information you get online on the television. Just try and know something about everything, so that when you get somewhere, you can at least, as a journalist, your job is to enlighten, give information.
You need to be enlightened yourself.
Definitely. So there should be no preference, especially at a young age. You need to pick everything.
All right. Thank you very much. So you were the former social media strategist at Vanguard newspaper. And I want you to tell us, having worked in a newspaper outfit, I want you to tell us, do you have the opportunity to choose the area? For example, if you want a job as a reporter in a media organization, I know that there are different bits. You have the sports bit, you have entertainment. Do you have the opportunity to choose which bits you are assigned to, or are you just assigned the bits?
I think it depends on the individual.
Okay.
Some persons were assigned their bits, but in my own case, in fact, for all my bosses, it has been difficult to give me a particular role.
Okay.
Because like I said, it is good to know about everything.
Vast.
You understand? So they say try sports, I'm doing it well. They say try politics, I'm doing it well. Try entertainment, I'm doing it well. So they just say do your thing. You understand? So the best for you is just to be able to do everything. So, you know, you are not being streamlined to a particular. So when there's a political event, I'm there. There's an entertainment event, I'm there. There's a mathematics event, I'm there. You understand? So I think that's the best. But for some persons who have decided to have a preference right from their young age, you know, it might be difficult. You're not okay.
We'll be going on a very short break. Enjoy inspirational, informative, and soul-lifting Christian programs such as Christian Parenting and Homefront, Light After Darkness, Fulfilling the Mandate, Kids and Bible, Movies Review, Shepherd's Spouse, Kingdom Stars, Teens Perspectives, my next gospel event, and lots more on Divine Television. Download Divine TV mobile app on Google Play Store or watch on our YouTube channel. You can also visit www.tvdivine.net. Divine TV, enriching souls through the gospel of Christ. Welcome back. This is still Catch Them Young, the platform where teenagers and young adults are exposed to practicing professionals who will guide them in the choice of a career. This is Divine TV, where we enrich souls through the gospel of Christ. And I still have here with me Michael Adeshino, a prolific journalist, speaking to us on what it takes to be a journalist. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
All right, before we went on the break, we were talking about, you were telling us that those watching us right now have to be vast if you want to be a journalist. And I think that you pointed out the fact that there's been a mistake going on over time where people just have to specialize in lifestyle, specialize in business. You know, they just have to specialize their knowledge. But you are giving an advice to the coming generation now to ensure that they are vast in everything that they do. So this is like putting more pressure on the teenagers and young adults watching us right now. Good pressure, actually, to keep reading wide. Do not make sure that you are not interested in just one aspect of journalism. You could practice anywhere, and there could be opportunities anywhere. The opportunity that may come your way may not be what you are prepared for, which is why you have to prepare in every aspect. So right now, I want us to talk about you for a while. I want you to tell us how you were able to start practicing journalism despite the fact that you studied engineering, because I know that you did not just graduate as an engineer and then find a job as a journalist. You probably had to take courses, you probably had to have mentors in the journalism industry. How were you able to rise in your journalism career despite studying engineering?
Well, my case was a little bit like you used the other time, the word you used, unique. Because when I was in 300 level and we started doing all the DY, DX, you know, like I said, I was passing them, but I was not feeling it. So I knew if I become an engineer, I would be worse at it, because in fact, you know, I have phobia for anything electricity. So I knew I was in the wrong place, you know. So I have to start, you know, and like I said, from my opinions and writing, you know, I gained confidence and I started writing. So immediately I finished, I told myself, I'm not going to go to any school for now, in terms of journalism. Before NYSC, I want to learn the practical aspects of this job, so I can be sure that I really want to be here, because I've made the mistake with engineering, and I must not make this, you know, another mistake. You understand? So I decided to go into broadcasting. I've been writing well, so I went to a broadcasting station in Ogun State, AGR Radio, on 1.1 FM. So I showed the owner of the organization some of my writings, and you know, when you believe you are good, you are confident in yourself. So he said, you're an engineer, but this, you know, you're writing and you write well. He said it's not about certificate, you can start coming. So from writing sport news, there was a day a presenter was not around, I have to fill in the gap, you know. That's when I could find my voice, that I could also do presenting, and I was talking sports, and everybody were calling in. They were like, oh wow, we enjoyed today's analysis and all of that, you understand? So after that, as I was going for my NYC, I knew, oh, this journalism thing is what I want to do. So I knew the whole year would not just be to, you know, go to camp, and I need to, you know, dig deep. So I started doing online courses, you know, on journalism, learning the ethics of journalism and all of that. So majorly I focused on online courses, you know, I read, you know, and I passed a lot of them, you know. So after that, when I was done with my NYSC, I came home and I felt like, no, as a journalist, there's like I told them, and I'm being serious about it, this is not just an interview to just speak English. This is a practical interview, you know. So I came back from service and I was like, I'm too brilliant to sit down and have nothing to do. So there was no vacancy, there was nothing. I went to Vanguard myself, you know. I knocked on the door of the MD and the man was like, who is this?
Violence taken by force.
You understand? Yeah. So like I just approached him, sir, this is what I can do, this is what I have done. And the man was so surprised. He said I reminded him of himself 20 years ago and all of that. Mr. Adefalaye, I think he's now the chairman of NIJ.
Yeah. The provost.
The provost, yeah. So he said I reminded him of himself and all of that. So there was no even interview. It was more of a conversation. How are you doing?
Wow.
Blah blah blah. Okay, go to the newsroom and all of that. So that was how I became a social media strategist. And you know, like I said, from a very humble background, there was no connection, nobody to connect me. So I have to connect myself. You understand? So I have to think deep of
the audacity for me.
What I can do by myself. You know.
Yeah.
So from there, I went into the newsroom, and you know, as a social media strategist. So my editor then, Mr. Adekunle Aliyu, he also discovered that, oh, this guy can write. So he created a web space for me, a WordPress page for me. So from there, I also started posting, you know, assisting and all of that.
Personally for you or for the organization?
For the organization, for me to handle, because it felt like, oh, this guy, you're doing well, you understand? So I was doing that. So I was learning, really learning on the job, because if it was money, I think I would have stopped at the point.
Okay. So now you're telling us.
Yeah. Yeah. If it was money, I would have stopped at the point. I was living very far, and you know the way Apapa roads are.
Yeah.
They were so rough. That's why I was talking about the place of passion. As of that time, if anybody should meet me, you would not want to be a journalist. But that's why I kept on, you know, hammering on the passion aspect of this, you know, profession. You understand?
All right. This question, I decided to save it for the last, because I mean, this is where everybody wants to talk about their career and how their career is the best. Speaking just now, you said online journalism is the best. It's the same thing as saying journalism is the best. So I want you to pitch for your career right now. What would the world be like without journalists? What is the significance of journalists in our world today?
I don't even think I have to defend it, because it is what is being seen everywhere. You have to
tell us.
Journalism is the light of the world. We have come to a place, we are now at a place whereby everyone is on their own. You know, you are walking on the street and you will see a group of hoodlums attacking someone, and everybody's walking by. It's none of my business. So it takes someone to now say, oh, I need to make the government realize that this is going on. I need to let them know robbery is going on here, this and that. So without that, in fact, the world will be so, it will be unlivable. There are a lot of evils being perpetrated every day. There are a lot of things going on in government that you have to go deep.
Somebody has to be the voice. Somebody
has to be the voice, thank you, to bring out and show the world this is what is going on. Not to just expose it, so that there will be corrections. So a lot of people say, oh, journalism is all about bad news, but no. We have to bring them to light so that you can correct it. And that's the beauty of journalism, aside from the money aspect and every other thing.
Serving us watchdogs.
Saving the world.
Wow. Thank you very much. So without journalists in our world today, the world would be very unsafe to live in. Without journalists in our world today, the government would not know what is going on with the masses, because we understand that the distance between the government and the people is quite much. But journalists bridge the gap between the government and the people. Thank you very much for doing this with us. I'm sure that teenagers and young adults and even parents watching this right now will be grateful that you have shed light on what it means to be a journalist. So if you want to be a journalist, or before watching this program you didn't know anything about journalism, but having watched it, you would love to be a journalist and you would love to connect with our guest right here, how should they connect with you, your social media platforms? I would also love to ask, are you open to mentoring the younger generation? Can they look up to you? Can they chat you up? Can they speak to you, you know, if they want to be mentored or tutored?
That's one of the reasons why I'm in journalism. That like, you know, I'm very much open, and I'm willing to help a lot of persons.
Wow, great.
So far you have the passion, and not just help, carry you along, take you through the process. of being a journalist.
All right.
To reach
Thank you
out to
very
me.
much. So would you tell us about your social media platforms? How can we reach you?
I'm not really a social media person, so for persons who want to reach out to me, it's best to get through to me through my mail, which is bensonmichael092@gmail.com.
All right, thank you very much. This is still Divine TV, where we enrich souls through the gospel of Christ, and this is Catch Them Young, a platform where teenagers and young adults are exposed to practicing professionals who will guide them in the choice of a career. Today, we have Michael Adeshino, who has told us what it means to be a journalist and what it takes to be a journalist. Thank you very much for doing this once again.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
so glad, and I'm sure that the teenagers and young adults, also parents watching this right now, would be glad. You can follow us on all social media platforms at Divine TV. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and download the mobile app on Google Play Store, Divine TV. My name is Praise Shogbade, and I am delighted to be your host. Thank you for staying with us.